Assalamualaikum. My name is Farahin binti Wahid and I am from Group 1. In this presentation, we explore the influence of HR practices, employee rewards, and the working environment on employee retention. Previous studies have established the significance of these factors in shaping employee satisfaction and engagement, ultimately impacting their decision to remain with an organization. The key point of this presentation is number 1, HR practices and supervisor support. Malik et al. 2020 emphasized the importance of HR practices and perceived supervisor support in employee retention. These factors contribute significantly to employee satisfaction and engagement. Second, job satisfaction and supportive work environment. Bison 2020 revealed the correlation between job satisfaction and employee retention. A supportive work environment and adequate rewards can enhance job satisfaction, leading to improved retention. Extrinsic and intrinsic rewards. Hassan and Govindasamy 2020 focused on Generation Y employees and found a positive correlation between a well-balanced reward systems and employee retention efforts. Importance of policies and opportunities by Asif and Nisar 2022 stressed the significance of well-structured policies, rewards, and growth opportunities in achieving excellent employee retention. Person, organization, and organizational loyalty match. Nas et al. 2020 highlighted the role of these factors as intermediaries between supportive work environments and employee retention. Successful retention in service industry by Zainal et al. 2022 attributed successful retention in Malaysia's service industry to combination of a supportive work environment, effective HRM practices, and employee rewards. Strategic responses for employee retention, Krasi and Nawa 2020 emphasized the importance of strategic business responses in retaining employee values amidst external challenges. Training and development. Nguyen 2021 highlighted the significance of training and development in fostering positive work attitudes and facilitating employee retention. So, as a conclusion, our study aims to investigate how HRM practices, employee rewards, and supportive work environment influence employee retention at TWI. By understanding this dynamics, organization can devise strategies to enhance employee retention, foster a positive workplace culture, and achieve long-term success.
Segment of problem. This study examined management practices, employee rewards, and work environment to retain talented employees in organizations. High turnover is a significant issue in Malaysia, with a shortage of quality people with the right skill for various jobs. Organizations must address this issue to improve employee retention and reduce costs associated with turnover. Employee rewards are efforts by organizations to appreciate employees for their role as a role models or actions. They boost motivation by offering rewards in return for achievement or contribution. According to Andrew, reward can be explicit or implicit, with explicit reward is involving salary and incentive. According to Bloom 2008, explained that employee recognition is a common problem faced by most organizations, as recognition is one of the basic needs of an individual. A comfortable and safe work environment is crucial for employee satisfaction and performance, as it impacts mentality and behavior, affecting both physical and non-physical conditions. Taufik 2015 study highlights that employee empowerment improves satisfaction and productivity in the financial industry by fostering a pleasant, healthy, safe environment, strong co-worker interaction, good pay, and social benefits. Organizational culture significantly impact employee retention, with strong corporate culture boosting engagement and loyalty. Understanding executive lifestyles, value, and norms is crucial for effective retention strategy. Predictions highlight that effective human resources management procedures help organizations achieve objectives, maintain talented employees, and achieve competitive advantage. Employee retention and satisfaction are key goals, and positive human resources management practices lead to employee retention and satisfaction. Next, we move to research objective and research question. There have 4 research questions and 4 research objectives, which is number 1, to examine the relationship between HRM practices on employee retention in TWI. Number 2, to examine the relationship between the employee rewards and employee retentions in TWI. Number 3, to investigate the relationship between the working environment and employee retention in TWI. And lastly, for research objective, to identify which factor most influence employee retention among TWI employees. Next, research questions. Number 1, how do HRM practices affect employees' retention in TWI? Number 2, what is the relationship between employee rewards and employee retention in TWI? Number 3, how does the working environment influence employee retention in TWI? And lastly, which factor most influence employee retention among TWI employees?
The research aims is to investigate the connection between HRM practices, workers' rewards, worker surroundings, and employee retention within the context of TWI. This study's significance lies in its contribution to both theoretical and realistic aspects. By examining the impact of HRM practices, worker rewards, and the operator surroundings, the Take a Look present insights into how those variables affect employees' decision to live with the enterprise. This research is relevant from a practical standpoint as it investigates these variables in the specific context of TWI. The findings can help the organization understand the key factors influencing employee retention and develop strategies to enhance retention rates. By identifying effective HM practices, appropriate employee rewards, and conducive working environments, the organization can design and implement interventions to improve employee retention and reduce turnover. So, overall, this study holds significance in advancing theoretical knowledge, providing practical implication for TWI, and contributing to the broader literature on employee retention. The insights gained from this research can assist organizations in effectively managing their human resources and creating a supportive work environment that promotes employee retention. Limitations of study will apply only to TWI Technology Sendirian Berhad staff members. The research findings might not be more applicable to employees at different firms. Employees at the TWI Technology firm have different characteristics and experiences from those at various companies. Culture, industry practices, and organizational characteristics can substantially affect the transferability of the findings. Online surveys are easy to collect data, but they are only accessible to those familiar with technology and the internet. This restriction is problematic because it prevents us from explaining the questionnaire to the respondents, which might cause them to interpret the questions differently. An online survey gives the researcher limited control over who sees and answers the questionnaire. This lack of control may introduce unmeasured variables or confounding factors affecting the study's findings and conclusions.
Several studies have explored the factors that influence employee retention, which is a significant area of study. According to Zaina et al., in the year 2022, examined employee retention rates within the service 18 industries in Malaysia and emphasized the significance of retention strategies in maintaining a stable workforce. Also, according to Bison, in the year 2020, investigated the correlation between employee contentment with their job and their inclination to stay employed, and discovered employee retention and discovered a positive correlation between the two variables. This relationship was expanded by Nguyen and Duong in the year 2021 to include training and development and job performance, demonstrating their significant impact on the retention of youthful employees. Firstly, HRM practice. Numerous research studies has examined the impact of HRM techniques on the retention of employees. According to Malik, Baik, and Manzoor, in the year 2020, the significance of perceived support from supervisors in the connection between human resources practices and employee retention was emphasized. highlighting the significance of HR in providing resources and support to boost job certification and motivation. Next, according to Asif and Nisar in the year 2022, emphasize further the role of HR policies, rewards, and opportunities in enhancing job satisfaction and commitment, which ultimately result in higher retention rates. According to Madhurani and Pasaribu in the year 2022 examine, the correlation between the perceived effectiveness of training and development programs and the propensity of employees to remain with their current employer with organizational justice and talent perception congruous serving as mediators. Next, employee rewards. The effect of both extrinsic and intrinsic employee rewards on employee retention has been examined. According to Hassan and Govind Hassami in the year 2020, the correlation between incentive and employee retention among the Generation Y workforce in Malaysian manufacturing firms was investigated. They found that both categories of reward have a significant impact on retention. Last but not least, working environment. Several studies have established that the work atmosphere has a pivotal function in retaining employees. For instance, according to Nas et al. In the year 2020, the relationship between a motivating work atmosphere and staff retention was examined, with the intermediaries being organizational loyalty and compatibility with the company's values. Another study, Al-Shahil and Zred in the year 2022, examined how job characteristic and value consistency influence employee retention. Similarly, Cressy and Noah in the year 2022 investigated how business strategy affects retention during significant external changes. Both studies underscore that a favorable work environment is vital to maintaining employees of an organization. Okay, next is the correlation between HRM strategies and staff retention. The findings of several investigations suggest that there is a positive correlation between the utilization of human resources management methodologies and the abilities to retain 20 personnel. However, it must be noted that this link is not consistent across all studies. According to Malik Baik and Manzoor in the year 2020, discovered that HRM practice, particularly perceived supervisor support, positively influence employee retention. Nonetheless, other studies indicate that HRM practice may not be the only factor influences employee retentions, as rewards, working environment, and other variables also play a role, according to Asif and Nisa in the year 2022. The correlation between the remuneration of employees and their abilities to remain with an organization. The intricate nature of the correlation between employee remuneration and workforce retention is worth nothing, suggesting that it may hinge on a number of variables. According to Hassan and Govindasamy in the year 2020, discovered a positive correlation between employee rewards and Generation Y employee retention. However, according to Asif and Nisa in the year 2020, noted that compensation is not the only factor influencing employee retention and that it should be incorporated into a larger HR framework that includes other practices in the working environment. Last but not least, the relationship between workplace conditions and employee retentions. Several research studies has indicated a favorable correlation between workplace atmosphere and personnel retention. According to Nas et al. In the year 2020, an encouraging work environment enhances employee retention by means of the intermediate effect of organizational commitment and person-organization fit. Additionally, Other aspects like job futures and value consistencies also exert an impact on staff retention. The influence of external determinant of 21 organizational contexts may affect the impact of the work environment on employee retention, as specified by Al-Shahir and Zrik in the year 2022.
His two-factor theory, also known as the motivation hygiene theory, is a widely recognized framework for understanding employee motivation and job satisfaction. According to this theory, there are two sets of factors that influence job satisfaction and dissatisfaction: motivator factor and hygiene factor. So the first is motivator factor, intrigued to the job itself with the nature of the work and opportunity for personal growth and advancement. This factor directly impact on employee motivation and job satisfaction. As an example of motivator factor is achievement, opportunity for employees to feel a sense of accomplish and make a meaningful contribution to their work. Second is recognition, acknowledgement and appreciation for a job well done. The third is advancement, opportunity for career growth, promotions and increased responsibilities. Responsibility granting employees the autonomy and decision-making authority to perform their tasks effectively. And the last is personal growth, opportunity for skill development and learning. So, when organizations focus on enhancing motivator factors, so employees are more likely to experience higher job satisfaction and motivation. When employees find their work engaging, challenging and fulfilling, they are motivated to perform well and stay committed to their jobs. By providing opportunity, this organization can foster a positive work environment and improve employees' job satisfaction. So the hygiene factor is, on the other hand, instituted to the job itself and related to the work environment. This factor, when not met, can lead to job dissatisfaction. However, improving hygiene factor and only eliminate dissatisfaction but may not directly contribute to the increased job satisfaction. Example of hygiene factors include work conditions, such as physical aspect of the workplace, such as comfort, safety and cleanliness, supervisor, such as the quality of leadership and support provided by manager. Other than interpersonal relationship, such as positive interaction with colleagues and superior. Other than that is company policy, such as clarity and consistency, organizational policies and procedure. And the last is salary and benefit, fair and competitive compensation, including salary, bonus, and benefit. So can improve hygiene factor help in reducing job dissatisfaction and preventing negative feelings among employees. For example, offering a competitive salary, providing a safe and comfortable work environment, and implementing a clear policy and can prevent employees from becoming dissatisfied with their jobs due to external factor. However, with enhancing a hygiene factor alone may not lead to long-term job satisfaction. Instead, it's only eliminate the source of dissatisfaction. So, in summary, Heisenberg two-factor theory suggests that organization can improve the job satisfaction by addressing motivator factors which directly contribute to employee motivation and fulfillment in their work. By balancing both motivator and hygiene factor, organization can create a positive work environment that fosters employee satisfaction, motivation, and long-term retention. For the conceptual framework in research for TWI technologies, NEBRHA aims to explore the relationship between HRM practice, employee benefit, workplace environment, and their impact on employee retention within the organization. The framework purposes that these independent variables collectively influence how long employees stay with TWI, which is referred to as employee retention. The main goal of the conceptual framework is to examine how the interplay of HRM practice, employee benefit, and the workplace environment can lead to increased employee retention for contributing to organization stability and success. For the first is HRM practices. HRM practice is encompass the strategies, policies, and action adopted by TWI to effectively manage its workforce. This practice may include training and development, performance management, and career advance and opportunity. This study considers HRM practice as one of the independent variable influences by employee retention. For the second is employee benefits such as refer to rewards and perks provided to employees beyond the regular pay. This include healthcare plans, retirements, benefit, bonus, and other non-monetary incentives. This study recognizes employee benefit as another independent variable that can influence employee retention. So the third is workplace environment. At TWI comprise three critical dimensions. Is first, physical environment. This include the physical workspace, office layout, facility, and safety measure. The second is social environment. The social environment relate to the quality of interpersonal relationship, team dynamics, and collaboration among employees with TWI. Physicality environment is involved aspects such as the company culture, support for work-life balance, employee well-being, and overall job satisfaction provided to employees. For this dimension together to contribute to the overall workplace environment, which consider the third independent variable that may influence employee retentions. So the purpose relationship is for the conceptual framework, attractive employees benefit and positive workplace environment positive effect employee retention at TWI for implements good in the HRM strategy, offer appealing rewards and maintain a supportive and positive work environment. So the expected outcomes will study about the how to demonstrate the validity of the purpose relationship within the conceptual framework through data analysis and research findings specific to TWI. For the first hypothesis is there is a positive relationship between HRM practice and employee retention in TWI. So this hypothesis suggests that there are direct positive between HRM management practice implement at TWI and the level of employee retention within the organization. Effective HRM practices, training and development, performance management, and career advance opportunity are expected to create a positive work environment. When employees feel supported, valued, and provide the opportunity for growth and development, they are more likely to have higher job satisfaction and loyalty to the organization. For the hypothesis 2, is there is a relationship between instructing and instructions rewards at TWI and employee retention. So this hypothesis examines the relationship between both intrinsic and extrinsic reward offered the employee at TWI and their impact on the employee retention. So the hypothesis suggests that the both type of reward play a role in influencing employee retention. So this additionally a positive work environment that factor essential rewards such as meaningful work and opportunities for personal goods can also contribute to higher employees retention rates. And the last is hypothesis positive relationship between a supportive work environment and employee retention. This hypothesis explores the impact of supportive work environment on employee retention at TWI. So a positive work environment can lead to higher job satisfaction, reduce turnover intention, and ultimately increase employee retention. Overall, the hypothesis aim to investigate the influence of HRM practice, reward, and the work environment on employee retention at TWI. So we study how to contribute the higher retention rates enable to the WI employee retention. So by understanding this relationship, the research can contribute to the field of HRM and guide other organizations and fostering a positive and
is unit of analysis. This study aims to investigate the connections between human resource practices, employee rewards, the working environments, and employee retentions. By focusing on individual employees as the unit of analysis, this study seeks to obtain insight into employees' experiences, perceptions, and behavior concerning the variables under investigations. This enables a thorough examinations of the effect of HR practices, rewards, and the working environments on employee retentions at TWI. The findings can then inform HR strategies and interventions to increase employee retention. For the data collections procedures, the systematic approaches and techniques employed to gather information or data for a research study are known as data collection procedures. And online questionnaires will be used to collect data. The questionnaires will collect pertinent data and assess the variables of interest. A platform for online service, job form, will be selected to administer the questionnaire. These platforms facilitate the distributions, accumulations, and analysis of response data. The researcher will identify the target population, which will likely consist of TWI employees. The URL to the online questionnaires will be sent to the selected participants via preferred modes of communication, which is WhatsApp. Participants will receive explicit instructions on how to access and complete the questionnaires. Participants will be required to submit the online questionnaires within the allotted time frame. And online questionnaires makes the data collections process more effective and convenient, and the sample size can be increased. In addition, it allows the researcher to collect data from geographically dispersed employees, ensuring the various perspective instruments used in this research. This study used validated and dependable instruments, Likert skills, and rigorous statistical analysis to shed light on the influence of HR practices, employee rewards, and work environment on employee retentions at TWI. In this research study, we propose using an online questionnaires to collect participant data. Multiple sections of the questionnaires will focus on the principal variable of HR practices, employee rewards, work environments, and employee retentions. Each questionnaire sections will contain pertinent item or questions for evaluating the corresponding construct. The predominant measurement scale will be a Likert scale, extending from 1 to 5, on which participants will indicate their level of agreements or disagreements with the provided statements. This scale captures the perceptions and attitudes of participants regarding the variables of interest. Statistical methods will then be utilized to analyze the data following its acquisitions. To summarize participants' responses, descriptive statistics encompassing means, standard deviations, and frequencies will be computed. For the validity of instrument use, through content validations, the validity of the instruments utilized in the study will be ensured. To determine this, an expert in the field of research will evaluate and corroborate that the instrument measures the intended constructs accurately. As the research has reached an advanced stage, a pilot test is regarded unnecessary. Next is reliability of instrument. The capacity of an instrument to consistently and accurately measure the construct or variable of interest is referred to as its reliability. For section 2, which is HRM practices, the researcher will adopt from Malik, Baik, and Manzoor 2020. For section 3, which is employee rewards, the researcher will adopt from Hassan and Govind Hassami 2020. Section 4, which is working environment, the researcher will adopt from Naz et al. 2020. And section 5, which is employee retentions, the researcher will adopt from Malik, Baik, and Manzoor 2020. Crombie Alpha is one of the most common measures of reliability. It evaluates the internal consistency of a questionnaire or skill by measuring the extent to which it seems related to each other and access the same underlying construct. A higher value of Cronbach alpha indicates a stronger internal consistency and greater reliability of the instrument's mechanism. Typically, researchers strive for a Cronbach alpha value above 0.7 to ensure adequate reliability, through the acceptable range may vary depending on the instrument's context and purpose.
Next one is the plan for data analysis. A plan for data analysis is a predetermined strategy detailing the steps and methods to examine the collected questionnaire data to draw meaningful conclusions. As you can see from the table besides me, we are using Likert scales for all the research objectives and research questions. As for the statistical analysis, we are using Pearson correlation. Pearson's correlation is used because it relates well to findings.
Table 4 displays the distribution of respondents' age across various age groups. There were a total of 150 participants in the survey. 24 of the respondents, or 60%, were between the ages of 18 and 25. This is the youngest age group covered by the questionnaire. The largest age group, comparing 36.7% of the entire sample, consisted of respondents between the ages of 26 and 30. There were 55 people within the specified age range. There were 45 respondents between the ages of 31 and 40, accounting for 32.7% of the total sample. A lesser proportion of the respondents, 10.7%, or 16 individuals, were between 41 and 50. Ages 51 and older had the lowest representation, with only 4% respondent, or 6 individuals, belonging to this group. Their findings shed light on the age distribution of respondents and emphasize the prevalence of younger survey participants. For 4.2 part is displayed gender table in the table 5. Table 5 displays the distribution of respondents by gender. 42.7% of respondents, or 64 individuals, identified as male. Approximately 57.3% of respondents identified as female. There were 86 people in this category. These results indicate that a marginally more significant proportion of female respondents than male respondents participated in this questionnaire. The people gender distribution provides insights into the participant composition and gender identification. Job position. In the table 6, it shows distribution of respondents' organizational position totaling 24 individuals. 16% of the respondents identified themselves as entry-level workers. The largest category, comprising 32.7% of respondents, consisted of mid-level employees. This group included 49 individuals. 33 senior-level employees represented 22% of the respondents. Manager accounted for 14% of respondents, or 21 individuals. 23 individuals comprised 15.3% of respondents who were executive. This result shed light on the distribution of position held by respondents within TWL. The results reveals various roles, with the middle-level employees being the most common. The data facilitates a greater comprehension of the composition of participation based on their organizational position. Table 7 depicts the distribution of respondents' respective experience level. 10.7% of respondents, or 16 individuals, indicated they had 1 or 12 months of experience. The respondents with 2 to 5 years of experience constitute the largest category, comprising 40.7% of all respondents. This category contains 61 people. 26 individuals, or 17.3% of the total sample, had 6 to 10 years of experience, totaling 47 individuals. 31.3% of respondents reported having 11 years of experience or more. This finding shed light on the distribution of years of experience among respondents. A large proportion of respondents have between 2 to 5 experience, as indicated by questionnaire result. The data facilitates a greater understanding of the composition of participations based on their respective years of experience. Assessing normality of data. The test was conducted on the variable named com_all with 150 degrees of freedom. The obtained value for the Kolmogorov-Smirnov statistic was 0.061. The corresponding p-value is 0.2. The null hypothesis of normality cannot be rejected because the p-value of 0.2 is greater than the significance threshold of 0.05. The COM-all variable has a normal distribution according to the Kolmogorov-Smirnov test. Notably, the asterisk and accompanying note indicate that the reported p-value of 0.2 represents a lower bound on the true significance. This suggests that the genuine p-value could be more significant than 0.2, but the precise value is unknown. The Kolmogorov-Smirnov test results indicate insufficient evidence to conclude that the variable COM-all significantly deviates from a normal distribution. Table 10 presents reliability statistics for a 4-item scale, particularly Kronberg alpha coefficient. The scale of Kronberg alpha coefficient is 0.91. This value indicates the degree to which the items on the scale are correlated with one another. A value of 0.91 indicates that the elements are internally consistent. Another measure of Kronberg alpha based specifically on standardized objects as provided. This coefficient is 0.911 comparable Kronberg alpha for the entire sample. Standardized items indicates that the scale item variance have been accounted for. The total number of scale items is reported to be 4. As indicated by this finding, Kronberg alpha coefficient suggests that the scale has a high internally consistency. The scale's elements are correlated, indicating a reliable measurement of being assessed contract. Table 2 displays Kronberg alpha coefficient for various construct measures in prior and present studies. These previous studies reported Kronberg alpha coefficient of 0.8 for the construct of HRM practices, while the current study obtained a marginally higher coefficient of 0.814. This value indicates that the items assessing HRM practices in both studies are internally consistent. Additionally, employee rewards demonstrated a higher degree of internal consistency. The previous study reported a Kronberg alpha coefficient of 0.9, whereas the study obtained a coefficient of 0.874 despite the minor decrease. Both coefficients indicate that the items used to measure employee rewards are internally consistent. In the previous study, working environment had a Kronberg alpha coefficient of 0.8, whereas the current study obtained a reduced value of 0.728. Although both coefficients indicate a reasonable level of internal consistency, the actual research demonstrated a marginally lower character level than the previous study. In conclusion, the results indicates a generally high level of internal consistency for the construct measure in prior and current studies. However, there are minor differences in Kronberg alpha coefficient between the two studies, indicating that the internal consistency of some construct in the recent survey may differ from of the previous research.
Next is the connections between TWI HRM practices and employee retentions. The result indicate a significant positive correlations between HRM practices and employee retentions. This suggests that as HRM practices score rise, so do the employment retention scores. The correlations coefficients indicate the strengths and directions of employee relationship between the two samples variables. Next is the relationship between employee rewards and employee retentions in TWI. The result indicate a statistically significant positive correlations between employment rewards and employee retention. The correlations coefficients reveal the strengths and directions of the associations between the two sample variables. Relationship between working environments and employee retentions. This result indicate that working environment is strongly associated with higher employee retention rates. The findings suggest that organizations with a more supportive work environment will likely have a higher employee retention rates. The significance of the correlations coefficients increase the observed relationships, dependability, and validity. TWI employee retentions in relations to HRM practices, employee rewards, and working environment. The table shows the correlations between the predicted. Which factors most influence employee retentions among TWI employees? According to model summary, the model suggests that a supportive working environment, effective communications with HRM, and effective communications with employees positively influence employee retentions. From the ANOVA tables, the result indicates that the regressions model with predictors significantly enhance our understandings of employee retentions compared to a model with no predictors. The significant F-value and low P-value indicate that the predictors contribute considerably to explaining the variance in employee retentions. The coefficients table presents that effective communications with employee and a supportive working environment positively affect employee retentions. In this model, neither the constant terms nor the predictors HRM practices have statistically significant effects on employee retention.
Based on our findings, we will discuss our research question 1, 2, and 3 in this chapter 5. Research question 1. How do HRM practices affect employee retention in TWI? The research reveals a moderately significant positive correlation between HRM practices, specifically perceived supervisor support and employee retention in TWI. This demonstrates the significance of HRM practices on employee retention rates. However, the overall retention strategy must consider other factors such as rewards, working environment, and individual employee requirements. Based on the comparison to previous research, it is evident that perceptions of supervisor support play a significant role in the relationship between HRM practices and employee retention. Recommendations to increase employee retention at TWI include enhancing HR policies and practices, fostering organizational justice, and taking the broader context into account. By implementing these recommendations, organizations can establish a supportive and motivating environment that increases employee satisfaction and commitment, resulting in outstanding employee retention. Research question 2. What is the relationship between employee rewards and employee retention in TWI? There is a strong positive correlation between employee rewards, both extrinsic and intrinsic, and employee retention at TWI. This demonstrates the significance of rewards in influencing employees' decision to remain with a company. However, the relationship between rewards and retention is intricate and dependent on some variables such as the HR framework as a whole and the working environment. Monetary and non-monetary rewards play a significant role in employee retention. According to prior research, however, it is vital to recognize that compensation is not the only factor influencing employee retention. They should be incorporated into a comprehensive HR strategy, other practices, and the workplace environment. Organizations can increase employee satisfaction, engagement, and retention by designing a comprehensive reward system, tailoring rewards to individual preferences, integrating rewards with other HR practices, and routinely evaluating and updating the reward system. These recommendations provide organizations into a framework of optimizing their remuneration strategies and enhancing TWI employee retention. Research question 3. How does the working environment influence employee retention in TWI? The results of this study demonstrate the importance of a supportive work environment in determining employee retention in TWI. A strongly positive correlation between working environment and employee retention suggests that organizations with a more supportive work environment will likely have higher employee retention rates. These findings confirm prior research emphasizing the significance of a positive work environment for employee retention. The connection between the work environment and employee retention is influenced by organizational commitment, person-organization compatibility, job characteristics, and value consistency. To increase employee retention, organizations should prioritize creating a supportive Work environment by cultivating a positive organizational culture, providing growth opportunities, ensuring work-life balance, recognizing employee contributions, and proactively addressing employee concerns. By implementing these strategies, organizations can increase their likelihood of retaining valuable employees and fostering long-term success.
In this part, we will be discussing about most influence factors in the research. Talking about the result of the mentioned studies, the study found that most factors have a significant impact on employee retention, which are the working environment, HRM practices, and also employee rewards. Derived from the report, the study found that a supportive working environment and effective employee communication are the most important factors in employee retention. A supportive work environment creates a sense of belonging and purpose. It helps to foster employee engagement. Effective employee communication helps to ensure that employees are informed about the organization goals and priorities and that they feel like their voices are heard. The study also found that HRM practices and employee rewards play a role in employee retention, but their impact is less significant than that of the working environment and employee communication. However, HRM practices and employee rewards can still play a role in increasing employee retention, especially when they are aligned with the organization's culture and values. Based on the finding of this study, I would like to make some of the following recommendations, which first, to create a supportive work environment. This means creating a work environment where employees feel valued, respected, and appreciated. It also means creating a work environment where employees feel like they can trust their managers and colleagues. Second, improve employee communication. This meaning that ensuring that employees have clear and open communication channels with their managers and also their colleagues. It also means making sure that employees feel like their voices are heard. Third, implement comprehensive HRM practices. This means having a comprehensive set of policies and procedures in place to manage employees. These policies and procedures should be fair and equitable, and they should be aligned with the organization's values. Last point, conduct regular employee surveys. This will help you to assess employee satisfaction, engagement, and perceptions of the workplace. This information can help you to identify areas where you can improve your employee retention efforts. I believe that these recommendations will help you to improve your employee retention rates by creating a supportive working environment, improving employee communication, and implementing comprehensive HRM practices. You can create a workplace where employees want to stay. In this part, we will be discussing about recommendations suggested for this study. As shown and can be read in the slide, there are 8 recommendations that can be referred to. By addressing these recommendations, future researchers can further contribute to the literature on HRM practices and employee retentions. This research will provide organizations with valuable insights for developing effective strategies for attracting and retaining talent, especially for this study for TWI organizations.
I am delighted to present the conclusions and contributions of this research paper, which sheds light on the crucial topic of employee retention at TWI. Our study explores the impact of HRM practices, employee rewards, and the work environment on employee retention, and we believe that the insights gained from this research will significantly benefit society, organizations, and learners alike. Contribution to society. The findings of this research have a profound contribution to society. Understanding the factors that affect employee retention can help businesses devise effective strategies to retain their valuable workforce. By implementing the recommendations from our study, businesses can foster a stable and engaged workforce, which not only boosts productivity and organizational performance, but also has a positive impact of the broader societies. Contribution to the organization. For organizations, this research paper offers valuable recommendations to improve employee retention by enhancing HRM practices, implementing effective employee reward system, and fostering a supportive work environment. Organizations can increase employee satisfaction, engagement, and loyalty. This leads to higher employee retention rates and more stable workforce, ultimately contributing to the organization's long-term success and positive workplace culture. Contribution to learners. As a valuable resource for students and future researchers, this research paper provides a comprehensive examination of HRM practices and their connection to employee retention in the context of TWI. Learners interested in employee retention research and the creation of effective HR strategies will find our discussion, recommendations, and conclusions invaluable for their academic growth. Additionally, the suggested areas for future research contribute to the ongoing academic discourse in this field, inspiring further investigation. In summary, this research paper brings significant contributions to society, organizations, and learners by focusing on the factors influencing employee retention at TWI. The recommendations provided can aid organizations in enhancing their HR practices, creating a positive work environment, and implementing effective employee retention strategies. As we work towards improving employee retention, we not only strengthen organizations but also create a more fulfilling and engaging workplace for employees. Thank you.